We're on there. Right, we're live.
Good evening from the Villa Marina in Douglas in the Isle of Man. We start off our grand finals of the Disability Darts events today with the Wheelchair Classic, the BDDA Isle of Man Wheelchair Classic. Representing the Isle of Man, a big hand please for Darren Kennish. And his opponent from Wales, Ricky Chilton. Right, both the finals of the Disability Darts will be the best of 5 legs. Darren's won the ball, so the both lads are having 6 darts practice. You want 9 darts? It's not going to go out.
Hello ladies and gentlemen, we're here for the Wheelchair Classic Isle of Man 2023 final. I'm sat here with Sarah Smale and it is defending champion Ricky Shilton from Wales versus the homegrown hero Darren Kennish from the Isle of Man. I'm here with Sarah. Nice to have you here, Sarah.
Thank you for having me, it's a pleasure.
That's great. We just want to ask a few questions, like how the BDDA started, and is there a...
Right, off we go. So, you're number 3, Ricky.
And I'm going to pass the microphone to Sarah so she can explain a little bit about the BDDA.
Okay, this isn't the first year at the Isle of Man. In 2015, a small group of disabled players came to the Isle of Man and played a small tournament.
85!
And out of those players, the 2 on stage at the moment, Ricky and Darren, were there. So that was in 2015. There were six players then from that year that wanted to set up a disability darts group. So we actually
35.
set up British Disability Darts Association. And we always refer to those 6 players as the originals. So on stage at the moment you've got 2 of the originals. So in 2015, after the Isle of Man, we set up the British Disability Darts Association. And just prior to the pandemic, we'd started planning to come back to the Isle of Man, but then obviously the pandemic stopped that. So we came here last year. And we had the BDDA Classic
95.
And this is our 2nd year. So at the moment, Ricky, who's playing, is the defending champion for the Isle of Man Wheelchair Classic 2023. And Darren
26
was ranked number 1 in the last year's ranking system in the wheelchair classification.
With Darren, back in 2015, was he a standing player?
95!
Back in 2015, both Ricky and Darren were standing players. Since 2015, Darren has had to go to a wheelchair. Darren has got degenerative paraplegia, so now it's impossible for him to play standing. Ricky, back in 2015, was also a standing player, but he has now got complications. He's got a full leg
59.
amputation, which means the hip and the pelvis are not there, and therefore he can't wear a prosthetic leg. Because of that type of amputation, his spine is going over, so gradually his leg is getting worse and it's affecting his hands and arms. So now his friends down where he plays locally will see him play standing, but it's very hard, so now he's playing in a wheelchair. And this is the problem with a lot of degenerative disabilities, that at some stage they face having to live life.
Darren, you require 157.
And we've got Darren here on 157. Looking for a check out. He probably can take it out as well. He's took a few out against me. There we go. No, he's not going to take it out this time.
40.
With 40.
Ricky, you require 124.
And Ricky's on a 124. Just missed the treble 18. Down to the bottom. Set it up. 24.
Darren, 117 throwing.
117 throwing. So we've Darren from the Isle of Man coming over, and I know him personally, so he's like dominated the wheelchair scene. Is there any other wheelchair players
45
coming through? What's going to make
Ricky,
it give
you require 100.
Just watching to see what they do in this throw. Yes, at the moment we've got
60.
2 players that come over here this weekend that have really given Ricky and Darren a run for their money. Mark Couchman from Northern Ireland is he pairs with Darren in any wheelchair pairs games.
3 darts and the first leg, Darren Kinnish.
Darren's just got
second
the first leg.
Ricky Tittle first.
Darren just took an amazing 72 out.
So Darren's just taking 72 out. Yep, so we've got Mark Couchman from Northern Ireland, but we've also got coming through a group of new wheelchair players.
60.
I'll give them a really hard time. Gary Higgins, Steve Plymley. Now that they've broken the confidence barrier of actually coming and trying to play and done their first couple of tournaments, they are really showing
promise.
Promise, yeah.
25. Darren starts off with a 25 there. Is there any international competitions for the BDDA and World Power Darts?
Yes.
95.
This is a British Disability Darts Association tournament, and we're part of World Para Darts. So Para Darts is very strong in a lot of European countries. So you have Belgium, Holland, you've got Denmark,
95.
Germany, Turkey, Italy, Austria, and then we've also got South Africa, Australia, USA, Canada. I'm just trying to think if I've forgotten anybody because I haven't listened down.
31.
World Power Darts Masters champions from Canada, is it the World Power Darts Masters? What were it, 41? The World Power Darts Masters champion was from Canada, Wayne Chapman. Yes, he's from the Canadian.
Yeah, so Wayne came to the World Power Darts Masters last year in Holland, and it was his first tournament away from Canada, and he won the standing classification, and then the wheelchair classification last year was won by Vinnie de Hont from Belgium.
32.
So you've basically got World Power Darts that has got more than 20 countries now, with each with their own teams and their own setup of tournaments. There's a World Para Dart ranking system, and then each country has got their individual ranking system, such as British Disability Darts Association.
What going back to the wheelchairs, or what provisions do you make for the wheelchairs?
46.
The playing rules are exactly the same, but there are a couple of differences. So if you look at the 2 guys on stage now, their back wheels must be behind
41.
the hockey line. So it sort of works out so that the central core of their body, as if they're standing, would be behind the hockey line. Now, we use tape because obviously if we had a standing hockey, they would not be able to retrieve their darts. And most of the disabled players want to retrieve their own darts if they physically can. We do use the side of the ocky tape nearest to the board as the ocky line, so that whoever's reffing can see whether the back wheels are breaching
82.
the ocky line. There are different styles of playing. Ricky plays forward, so his front wheels are over the ocky. Darren, I can't see how he's playing today, but he tends to play at a slight angle.
Darren,
there
you
are
require
some players who
58.
play side on. And then the only other we've got is, because if they have got a disability that affects their arms, they're allowed to have a retriever. So they can have a retriever who stands
38.
behind them, doesn't
Ricky, you
communicate
required
with them, they're only
117.
there to take their darts boards out of the board for them. But that is it, other than the normal health and safety of any venue that we're at.
And Darren, you require 20.
We're on 117.
Right. Darren's just missed a big 10 there. Oh, is he going to clean it up? Oh.
16. Ricky, you require 32.
Ricky on 32, defending champion. No, check, is that in?
Oh,
24 score.
Darren, you require 4.
Darren on 4 to go 2-0 up. There we go. No, it's not, it's in. I'm
Game, 1 out. And the
in.
second leg to Darren. Third leg, Darren to throw first.
So Darren trying to win the Isle of Man Classic. He's in the next final as well, in the Open, isn't he?
He's in the Open.
He's in the Open final as well, which he's defending.
Yeah, the
60.
the same two players are playing later tonight.
45, check, sorry, 45.
2023. There was only 1 or 2 legs that split the top 4 positions for the Open, so it was really all down to the last game.
45.
Both Darren and Ricky are very good friends. They both played in for a Celtic Nations team earlier this year in Ostend, when unfortunately they were knocked
60.
out by the Belgium team, who went on to win the World Trophy in Belgium. And then 2 years before that, Ricky was manager of captain of the Welsh
85.
team that won the silver medal at the World Cup, which was again held in Ostend. And Darren went to that year, and he played as an individual.
He also played for the rest
He played for the rest of the world. So both of them, they know each other very well. They're very good friends. But obviously, when you're at the hockey, there are no friends on the hockey.
Not even in disabled
27.
It's exactly the same in disabled darts as it is outside of disabled darts. There are no friends in disabled darts when you're at the hockey. And what I don't think
15.
people understand sometimes is these guys have been playing all day. So they've not just come fresh to play on the stage now. They played all day yesterday and all day the day before. And
60.
Their disabilities cause other problems. So if we take Ricky, for example, he walks around on crutches, but then obviously that causes problems with his shoulders. So his shoulders ache and have pains. And Darren's the same. He doesn't use crutches as much, but still a day on your, I was going to say feet, but a day sat in a wheelchair playing darts, and obviously they have to maneuver their wheelchair all day with those hands. so they get fatigued really quickly. And you'll find that when we do disability darts, it's always of a shorter format. So we're coming to the end. It's a best of 5. So Ricky needs to...
140!
Darren's just hit
Darren, yes, they're 140. They are great rivals and I think it's 50-50 at the moment if you look back at the stats as to how many times they've beaten each
81.
other.
Darren, you require 41.
It's been a very long day. Ricky's got another final to come against Darren as well.
Yes, they've got another final to play later tonight against each other. So if Darren takes this out...
They might just end up swapping trophies. Because Darren won the Open and Ricky
No
won the
score.
Classic.
That might be
Ricky, you
interesting.
require
We'll have different,
142.
trophies this year. Would mean a new name on both trophies.
Yep. Can Ricky put pressure on it?
32.
42.
Darren, 41 throwing.
Thirty-three scored. Now can Ricky make
Ricky,
it?
100 throwing.
I've seen him take this out so many times. Tops. Oh no, we went for treble for double 10.
60.
Put a bit of
Darren, you
pressure on him.
require 8.
Can Darren handle pressure? 8 for the trophy. Oh, no score.
No score.
No score.
40 throwing, Ricky.
Ricky to save it, to take it to another leg. Come on, he's got a mark in it, go on.
30.
30 just inside.
Darren, you require 8.
Darren, second time. Game shot
and the match. Darren Kenish.
Fantastic.
That's Ken. He's got some support here in Isle of Man. He's
Well
the Town
played to
Boys.
Well, Town Boy, he's got his
58,
wife,
56
his
for
children,
Darren,
his
57,
grandchildren,
80 for
all
Ricky.
here.
Put your hands together for
So
both
I'm
the lads
sure
as they leave the stage. Well done.
They just made themselves heard. But well done, both of them. Well,
Well,
congratulations,
we'll be back in
Darren.
5 minutes. We just need to change the height of the... ladies and gentlemen, we move on to the BDDA Isle of Man Standing Classic for the disabled dart players, representing Basingstoke. Put your hands together, please, to Steve North.
Steve North, last year's win.
And his opponent from St Helens, Michael Callaghan.
And defending champion Michael Callaghan. Beating a very good rival Paul Gelder in the semi-final. Steve North beating Jonathan Ayres 3-0 in the semi-final. So we're back with Steve and Michael in the Classic Final 2023. Especially I want to talk about Steve North because the criteria he has had to go through, and not a lot of people know he's actually got 2 prosthetic legs.
Yes.
Could you explain how that affects Steve and his playing stance?
Yes, it's very difficult with standing players because if you look at Steve, now Steve is the taller.
Well, the lads are going to have 9 darts practice apiece just while we're keeping him in the back room a little bit while we change the height of the dartboard.
People look at our standing players and think,
and then we're going to get briskly on to the final.
Now, if we go back to the beginning, every player has to have a disability that is an eligible condition according to the International Paralympic Committee. And each player that plays has had a doctor certify this. So the players know that everybody they're playing against has had a doctor certification. And this happens internationally as well. So they don't worry about what.
Off we go then. The lads have had the 9 darts practice, and this time, please, it will be Steve to throw first.
Okay, so they're starting now, aren't they? Yeah, so if we look at Steve, as you quite rightly said, he has a double amputation, so he has 2 prosthetic legs. So how that affects him is obviously his balance.
68!
He cannot feel his feet, he has no feet. And as we said earlier, he's been playing all day yesterday and all day today. So he has
125
inside sockets on his prosthetic, so his weight is bearing down on those stumps. Now the heat and the cold in different venues will obviously swell
30.
or shrink that stump, and obviously the wear and tear from walking around on them. So it is, I mean, the fact he could actually walk in them is brilliant.
25!
The wear and tear. Steve was, I'll tell you a bit about Steve's background. Not long ago, he was walking down a road, and the next thing he knew, his head was on a red bumper. He woke up in hospital
60.
without his leg. It just shows how horrific some accidents can be, and it can happen to anybody. Then, I'm trying to think how long ago, it's about 18 months ago, he had to have the second leg amputated
41.
because it never really recovered from the accident. After he'd had the second leg amputated, with the rehab that he had, the first tournament he came back and won. Amazing.
30.
So look at Michael's slightly different, and this is the harder one to assess, but basically
140
to their central core, so their spinal cord or their brain, and it's a permanent damage, then that makes them eligible. So for Michael, he's got spinal cord damage, which is permanent.
45, and Mike, you require 170.
Of the spine, and the spinal cord has fused to his spine. And
60.
Most disabilities are degenerative, so they're going to get worse as they get older. But for somebody like Michael, it's more degenerative. The deterioration is going to get worse, and that's normal for most permanent back spinal cord injuries. They're going to get worse.
110 throwing, Mike.
So yeah, if anybody's interested in seeing if they're eligible, it's very straightforward. There's a website British Disability Darts Association,
28.
where there is a document which outlines the criteria. If it's not black and white, then there is an email address, or you can message us through Facebook, and we can talk you
41.
through one-to-one.
And
It's
82
really a
joy,
phone
Mike.
conversation, one-to-one. So how are we doing?
We've got Mike on an 82. We've got Steve North waiting on 167, which there's a famous story from last year. Steve North taking a 170 out to
Oh,
knock
yeah.
No
Michael
score.
out.
And that was here.
Steve,
wasn't it?
167
Yes,
throwing.
last year. Now was it it was the Open?
It was semi-final in the Open.
Of the Open, semi-finals of the Open, these two met, and Michael had tops left,
Michael had 40 left to see.
and there was a sudden and almighty shout in the arena as Steve took out a 170
45.
to win the
Mike,
semi-finals and get
82
through to
going.
the finals. Made me jump because because Steve isn't a loud person, but that 170 was something special.
And you don't understand how many
37.
times I've heard him tell that story.
Steve, 122 throwing.
Again, haven't we? Stephen's from Basingstoke, and Michael is from St Helens, and obviously, we've got Bully Boy in St
26.
Helens, and
Mike,
Our Holden
45
at
throwing.
St Helens at the dart shop is a great supporter of disability darts. Has helped us enormously with our fundraising. So a little shout out to Carl Holden, who's one of Michael's friends in St Helens.
42.
And we've got a tournament
Stevie requiring 96.
in next month, isn't it?
Yep, we're in
Yep.
St Helens next month in April.
Yeah. So let's just see what happens at the end of this leg.
96. Is it 20 and 76?
Oh.
So what you've got to understand is these two are
24.
both been playing.
Mike, you
for 2
require
days.
3.
I think adrenaline ain't kicked in yet.
No score. Steve, 72 throwing.
Yeah, and of course Michael's on 3, isn't he? So.
Yeah, Michael's also in another final later on.
Oh, yeah, he's in the final later tonight
With
the-
Matt Doe.
Yeah, Michael versus Matt Doe in the next hour in the Open final. And I've got to ask you,
27. Mike, 3 throwing.
who did Steve North beat?
He beat me in the semi-final 3-0.
Sorry, if I hadn't asked you that,
Yeah, you're all right.
I would. Yeah.
He's played very, very well.
Game, 3 darts. And the first leg to Mike Callaghan.
First leg to Mike Callahan.
And second leg, Mike to throw first.
And Mike's trying to defend this tournament, this championship. But Steve won the Welsh Open. I played him in the final of St Helens last year, where it was a good game. I
85.
luckily won 3-1. And then he's been off the boil.
Yes,
For-
hasn't he? He's not.
But his darts have really come back this weekend.
This weekend he's been on fire a bit, hasn't he? I mean,
28.
the last 2 or 3 tournaments he has struggled, but he has really pulled it back this weekend.
When playing him yesterday, his throw, his stance, everything was there.
But I know he wouldn't have forgiven me.
60.
If I didn't ask
Yeah.
you who he'd beat in the semis. So if anybody is thinking, am I eligible? That's what we were talking about before the end of that leg. You just have to visit the British Disability Darts Association or the World Para Darts
45.
and there are eligibility criteria there. There's also the medical questionnaire that we ask you to get your doctor to complete. If you're not sure, just contact us and we'll
100.
speak to you. Send us a message, we'll give you a call back and we'll discuss it with you. We're not doctors, but we can find out the information.
Yeah.
And in particular, we're on the Isle of Man, aren't we? So, we've got 2 Isle of Man players now.
83.
We've got
Darren Kelly,
Darren Canish, we just seen him play and win the last final, and we got Callum Brew.
a new superstar,
Yeah,
in my opinion.
first, you said he played well.
Very
Like,
well.
55.
First tournament, so always a bit nervy. But there must be more players on the Isle of Man.
Oh yeah,
But
you've got to
it'd be great to come back next year to see a few more Isle of
60.
Man disabled players.
Yeah, definitely.
And I know we would love to get an Isle of Man disabled team together, because as I said earlier, I think in the previous video, Darren had came part of the Celtic Nations because he was the only player.
82.
And the rest of the world the time before.
Which they did get to quarter-finals without even knowing each other.
And must give a big shout out to the Isle of Man government and the English Darts organisation
and 119
because they have really welcomed us with open arms, made everything so easy for us to come over
47.
and play. It's not easy when you've got to make sure of the health and safety and fit us in, but they really have welcomed disability darts with open arms.
100.
So little plea,
72
if you are on the Isle of Man listening and you want to play disability darts, you can contact us or Darren Kennish, who was playing earlier.
Shot at the ball. Oh,
36.
36 scored.
And 85 throwing, Steve.
Steve with an 85. Trying to make the legs equal. Can't tell if that's... Yeah, I think it is. Oh, he's gone for... Reassess the situation.
38.
Michael back with 36. Double 9. Oh.
27. Steve, you require 57.
Steve with 57 to equal the game up at 1-1. See, this is what I like about Steve. He's now starting to slow down. I said this to him over there, we're too quick. That's just unlucky.
9 throwing, Mike.
9 throwing for Michael Callahan. There's the 1. Game. That's
Three
the
darts.
second leg.
And the second leg to Mike Callaghan. Third leg, Steve North to throw.
Yeah, you were saying earlier just then about Steve, when he's playing, he speeds up. I was watching him play earlier today. He was playing in the main open. I'm not quite sure which round it was, but I know that he was 3-0 down, and he pulled it back to 3-2 with 298 checkouts. He then went on, he didn't win, he was knocked out at that point in the main open.
35!
But you're right, he slowed down.
Yeah, he's got that focus back.
Yeah, he needs to focus. But as I said, he's come on incredibly since his little dip the last
52.
few games. I think he put too much pressure on his shoulder as well, because he was doing so well.
We have a lot of players what put a lot of pressure on the shoulders. It's and also we like the fact that we we like the fact that we try and encourage our disabled players, if they feel up to it, to play in the mainstream darts competitions. Hopefully we'll get one what can do some damage in some good tournaments over there. Is that another thing what we're looking forward to doing?
Yeah, I mean
26, check 26
I mean, if we look at the tournaments that we play in, we play at the Welsh Open. So there's a disability event at the Welsh Open, the British Open we play at, and obviously here at the Isle of Man. We'd like to see it happen at all the major tournaments where they allow a disability darts tournament. They're always split into two, so you have a standing classification and a wheelchair classification. So it does mean every tournament is really two tournaments, so double up everything. And whenever we go to these tournaments, the standing players especially, we encourage them to
96.
join in with the main tournament as well as the disability group. Because you're there, you might as well have fun. What I'd love to see is the ability for wheelchair players to be able to play at main tournaments.
29.
And I can see that happening
Mikey
eventually.
required 160.
Working way out to do it, so that they can go and play in the Open or the Masters or the Classic, whichever it's called, against the main players.
43.
43, Mike.
Yep.
Looking like he's going to try and wrap this up. Steve needs to put a bit of pressure on. That's a great dart. Another great dart.
55.
I thought they did, yeah.
Yeah.
What is it? 100, yeah? 100. 100!
I thought one of them were in, definitely. It's just...
I'm at a slightly different angle to you, so I haven't got quite
Yeah,
the screen of the screen.
45!
Mike with a nice 45 there, just setting it up. Knowing he's got another 3 darts at a 72, we Steve back on 184. Steve, he's got to have a treble here. Yeah, I think we...
45!
No.
Mikey requires 72.
I think he needed more there. Treble 16. Game, shot, and the match.
2 darts, Mike
Retained
Callaghan.
his title then.
He's retained the title, and another one for Mike is that's Abavagene. He's got 3 in a row. Which
Three titles in a row.
and another final later on.
So he should be number 1 ranked.
Oh yeah, easily. Thanks for mentioning that.
I think you were number 1 at one stage. Thank you.
Many years ago. Well, thank you very much.